Hello, and this is Miss Yetter, and we are continuing our reading of The Worst Class Trip Ever by Dave Beery. We are on chapter 15. So let's turn to our books to chapter 15, which is on page 131. And let's start. We made it back to the hotel and snuck up to the room without any trouble. Victor was still awake, looking worried. We told him what happened with Matt and Cameron at the weird guy's house, which made him look more worried. So now they have Cameron, he said. Yeah, I said. This is bad, he said. What do you mean? My dad called me, he said, really late. He had a lot more questions about the picture of the jammer I sent him. He wanted to know where exactly on the internet I saw it. I made up a story about how I didn't actually see it on the internet myself, but somebody sent it to me, and I didn't know where they got it, but I would try to find out. Why is he so interested? Said Susanna. The picture I sent him, he showed it to some people where he works, military intelligence people. They blew it up and enhanced it, and they could read the serial number. There aren't many of those things, and they knew exactly which one this one was. It was stolen off a helicopter in Afghanistan, and they've been trying to track it down because they really, really don't want this technology to get out. So according to their informants, it was sold to a guy who sold it to another guy who sold it to another guy in Miami. And that's where they lost the trail. So that's why the weird guys were in Miami, I said. They were getting the box? Yeah, said Victor. And speaking of them, I've been doing some more research about Gadakistan. And about Whatistan? Said Matt. Gadakistan, said Susanna. That's where those guys are from. So anyway, said Victor, remember I told you the leader of Gadakistan is a guy named Gordon Revelov? Susanna and I nodded. Well, guess who's going to be visiting the White House? Seriously, said Susanna. Yes, and when? Tomorrow, actually. Now it's today, this afternoon. So that's why they're here, I said. Looks like it, said Victor. Wait, said Matt. What are you talking about? Okay, I said. You missed some stuff. The box you stole from the little guy's backpack is a jammer. It jams laser-guided missiles, so they miss their targets. We think these two guys plan to visit it to jam the missiles that protect the White House so they can attack it. Attack it with what? We don't know that, said Susanna, but now we know when. The leader of Gadakistan is going to be at the White House this afternoon. It looks like our guys are planning to attack it then. But they're from Gadakistan too, said Matt. Why would they attack when their leader is there? Because they're against him, said Victor. They belong to a rebel group, Ranaba Umaka. It means dragon head, which must be why they were carrying one. Wait a minute, I said. Victor looked at me. Susanna and I saw it tonight, I said. The dragon head. Where? At the house where they were keeping Matt, in the backyard, attached to a dragon. What? Said Victor. Yeah, said Susanna. There's this giant weird dragon made of nylon or something. Why would they have a dragon? I said. Maybe they're going to use it in one of those Chinese parades, Matt said. You know, where a bunch of people march inside a giant dragon puppet? Oh, yeah, I've seen those, I said. Hey, maybe that's how they're planning to attack the White House. Yeah, right, said Susanna, because the Secret Service would totally let a giant dragon puppet with people under it march right up to the White House. It did sound pretty stupid when she put it that way. Victor was staring at us. Is it heavy? He said. Is what heavy? I said. The dragon. Did you try to lift it? Actually, I did a little, I said. It's not heavy at all. In fact, it's really light. Why does that matter? Said Susanna. Instead of answering, Victor tapped his computer for a few seconds. Then he said, okay, this is from the Wikipedia article on Gadakistan. Among the most popular traditional activities are kite building and kite flying. Many villages pride themselves on creating large, elaborate which are entered in regional and national competitions. He looked up at us. I bet the dragon is a kite. It's pretty big, said Susanna. Kites can be big, said Victor. Wait a minute, said Matt. You think they're going to attack the White House with a kite? I think it's possible, said Victor. But this is the White House, said Matt. You don't think they'll notice a couple of weird guys lurking around there with a big giant dragon kite? Maybe not, said Victor, if there's a whole bunch of other big kites around. We all looked at him. I snapped my fingers. When we went by the Washington Monument, I said, those guys were flying those big kites. Right, said Victor. Jean said there was going to be a big kite festival on the ellipse. It's right next to the White House. Susanna said, okay, but how much damage can they do with a kite, even a big one? A lot, said Victor, if it's carrying a bomb. It could carry a bomb? I bet it could, I said. One of the kites we saw near the Washington Monument lifted a guy off the ground. So that's their plan, said Susanna. They're going to use their dragon kite to bomb the White House? I think it makes sense, said Victor. So we tell somebody this, right? Said Matt. Like the Secret Service? Wrong, said Susanna. First of all, I don't think the Secret Service would take us seriously. I bet people are always calling them and making crazy threats. They're not going to believe some kids with a story about a kite. And secondly, we can't risk having those guys hurt Cameron. So what do? I said. We stop them, she said. We know what they plan to do, and we know when they plan to do it. Maybe, said Victor, but even if we're right, how do we stop them? I knew exactly what Susanna was going to say, and I was exactly right. We'll figure out when we get there, she said. The main thing now is we should try to get some sleep. It's really late and we're going to be busy tomorrow, which turned out to be the understatement of the year.